What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with Botania, and today we're going to be going over the Mana Enchanter. Now, there are a lot of different reasons to want to have overpowered enchanted items, even just when it comes to vanilla Minecraft, but when you attack Botania on top of that, there's another huge thing to put on the list, and that is the Gaia fight, which, if you don't know, is a boss fight from Botania that can get a little bit dicey if you don't have at least semi-decent gear, and if you have overpowered gear, it becomes a pretty big joke. So unfortunately, getting super overpowered nearly perfect gear just using vanilla Minecraft stuff like the enchanting table and the anvil is a little bit of a pain. It can be super time consuming and really annoying. So thankfully, Botania offers an extremely simplified option, which is the Mana Enchanter, that makes it a lot easier and less time consuming to get essentially perfect enchanted items. So today, we're going to be going over how you can set up the Mana Enchanter and how you can use it to start working your way towards some seriously overpowered, essentially perfect enchanted items, whether you want that to be armor, tools, or all of the above. As for the item requirements for today's episode, they are all in this chest right here, so feel free to pause the video if you want to make sure you have everything required to follow along with today's episode, but we should be good to grab out all this stuff and start doing some crafting. Okay guys, so all the crafting is now done for today's episode, and if we take a quick look at my inventory, there is barely anything in here, so this is an awesome setup for two reasons. Number one, it is extremely useful compared to vanilla enchanting and is going to save you a ton of time, but number two, it's really easy to set up. It's super cheap compared to most of the builds we'll be making, and once you get it set up, no matter how powerful you want to make your items, it's going to be the same thing. Now, I will say that this is a little bit different than our normal setups because usually we kind of construct them on our own using things from Botania like puzzle pieces that we can assemble in any way we really want depending on their function, like this tree farm over here. But this setup is going to be a structured multi-block, so we got to follow a little bit of a template, and since I know it can be a pain sometimes in videos to follow along, well, you just go into your Lexica Botania, go to Natural Apparatus, go to the second page, click Enchanting with Mana, go to the next page, and right here you can click to visualize the multi-block structure and place down sort of a template in your world that'll be three-dimensional that you can follow, and it'll actually tell you when you've successfully completed assembling it. So to start things out, we should be good to simply click the visualize button right here, and all of a sudden you will see the entire depiction of the multi-block structure pop up, and it's basically just going to follow our cursor around. So we need to figure out where we want the central block of this setup to be, and I am just going to dig down one right here, and then we're going to right click, and that's going to place it down. So wherever you have it sitting when you right click, it will place it down in the world. Now you can see that it leaves the three-dimensional outline here very easy to follow along with. Obviously, in this case, it has mystical white flowers, but in this entire build, you can use whatever color mystical flowers you want, so you don't need to follow it perfectly to a T. You could use mystical white flowers if you want, but I think other ones might look a little bit better color-wise. But either way, I think the really cool thing about this is that gray bar at the top center of the screen. And this is basically going to be your progress bar for the build and let you know how far out of the total amount of blocks you've gotten correctly. So right now we have 0 of the 34 blocks properly placed down, but as we start working through this, that'll start going up and let us know when we're essentially done or if something's wrong with this. And obviously a lot of mods, and I say a lot, pretty much all mods now that have multi-block structures have some form of template that you can use, but this is a very cool feature that this mod specifically has that I haven't really seen anywhere else. So we're going to start digging out this area right here so that we can start placing down the obsidian, and that's going to be the first part of the setup. Admittedly, it's a little bit hard to see where I'm digging right now because it's leaving the obsidian sort of transparent blocks in there, but we should be good to place down obsidian like this, and you can see the progress bar is going to start filling up. So we're just going to come around all the way around here, and there we go. So all 17 obsidian has been placed down. Now we can move on to the lapis, and another cool feature is right here, in case you weren't sure what this block is, you can see that it shows which block in this template is being hovered over right now. So the lapis lazuli block has to go here. Unfortunately, it is a little bit buggy or doesn't function when you don't have a block below what you need. So right here, this is a mana pylon. We can see because I'm hovering over the block behind it. Now, if we look at this one, it's not going to tell us we need a mana pylon because this block isn't here. Now, I'm sure if we placed a flower down right here and then looked at that, on the top side of it, we'd be able to see that. But that's just a quick little note about this whole thing that I find interesting. Either way, though, we'll put down the lapis right here. And then I am going to be using mystical purple flowers because I think thematically those look correct with this. They'll kind of match the color scheme a little bit better, I think, than white ones. But we're just going to place these down, and as you can see, it does complete the progress, even though they are not mystical white flowers. So as I said, they do not need to be the exact color. I'm pretty sure you can even use glimmering or floating mystical flowers too if you want to. And now we're left with the mana pylons. So as I suspected, if we look at the top face of this flower, now we can see the mana pylon on this. But just a quick observation with that. Now we put all the mana pylons down above these. Oh, there's a torch in the way of that one. And all the ones down over here. And there we go. The setup is done. The bar goes away at the top. You get a nice little experience ding. And we are good to go. Now it's a little bit dark in here, so we'll just light it up over here a bit more. But to form the actual mana enchanter, because the multi-block is done, but the mana enchanter itself has not been formed in the world, all we're going to do is take our wand to the forest and right click on this lapis lazuli block once the entire multi-block is done. And now we have this extremely cool mana enchanter. And like I said, I think it matches the purple very nicely because it's got all these cool sort of moving effects on it. I love this multi-block. I think it looks awesome, and it looks even cooler when it's running. So now we need to take a quick second to go over how the mana enchanter actually works, because I'm sure a lot of people think it works like an enchanting table when it actually doesn't. Now, the mana enchanter can be thought of as a super anvil, I would say, because what it's going to do is apply enchants from books to whatever item you put in it. The nice thing, though, and what makes this super overpowered in my opinion, is you will not consume the books when you apply them to an item. So essentially, you just have to go out and get one set of books and you are all good to go. You don't need to get multiples of anything. You can just work your way up to, let's say, protection 4, and then apply that to every single piece of armor that you have, and you're good to go. Same with unbreaking. You get the highest tier of unbreaking. You can put that on literally everything, and it will never get consumed. You'll simply expend a little bit of mana, and it'll put it on whatever item you have in there. So that is how this works. You do still need to get the books, and if we take a look at my inventory, I went out and I got a couple. Obviously, these are not the highest tier. I did some villager trading. I did some low-level enchanting and combining in the anvil. Tried to find some dungeons so I could grab some if I was lucky, but didn't get lucky with that. So we're working with protection 3, unbreaking 2, and those are going to be the main focuses for today, because you can apply multiple enchanted books, each with a single enchant, to a single item. The books don't need to be combined or anything like that. It can be all done at once simply by using multiple books. One important thing to note on top of that is if you have an enchanted book with multiple enchants on it, only the first applicable enchant is going to be applied to the item. So having single enchant books is really the way to go. If you have a multiple enchant book, you better hope that the enchant you want is the first applicable one on that book. Otherwise, you're not going to be getting the other ones. So that's pretty much everything we need to know for now. We should be good to start jumping into this. So the process of using this to enchant an item is going to take 3 things. First, the item. Second, the books you want to use. And finally, the mana. Now, the mana is going to depend on what types of enchants you're applying, their level, their rarity, all of that stuff. So you're going to want to make sure you have a pretty decent supply coming in if you're trying to do some seriously high tier enchanting. And the easiest way to supply sufficient mana to the mana enchanter is going to be using sparks. You could use a mana spreader, but it's going to be significantly slower. And when this takes a lot of mana, you're going to be sitting here for quite some time. So all I'm going to do is throw down a mana pool right here. We're going to put a spark down on top of it. We're going to put a spark down on top of this. And we are going to make sure that these are connected. They are. And then we can just fill this mana pool using my mana tablet. And then we should be good to do some enchanting with it. So we'll let that fill up for a little bit here. Now we really shouldn't need much mana for the enchants today, mainly just because we're not doing super high tier enchanting. Like I already said, we're basically just going to be working with protection 3 and unbreaking 2. So it should be pretty minimal the amount we consume, but that should be enough to start working with, and we can keep an eye on this to see how much mana it consumes. There's a pretty complicated equation that you can probably find online that tells you how this all works based off of if it's a treasure enchant or not, the level of the enchant, the number of enchants, and all that stuff put into an equation. But for now, I am not going to worry about that. We're just going to take a look at how much it consumes and then understand that it's going to consume that much for every single piece of armor that I apply these same exact enchants to. So now we got the mana. To put the item in, we're simply going to take it out, and I'll start with my chest plate, and we're going to right click it on the mana enchanter, and it's going to sit right on top of it there, waiting to be enchanted. Now we're going to take our books, and we are going to toss them inside this obsidian circle and let them sit on the ground. So both the books that I want are tossed in there. And then to start it out, once we have all three of those things, we are simply going to right click again with our Wand of the Forest on the mana enchanter. And we're going to get 2 noises because it's going to give us dings as it detects the books that are in there. And now it's starting. So we can see mana is being pulled from this pool. And you can see it's going down a decent amount, but there we go. So once it's pulled all the mana in, the sort of circular symbol comes up, and now the enchanting is done. So we just right click to take the item back. We can grab our books, and we have our enchanted Terrasteel chestplate. And this has Unbreaking 2 and Protection 3. So again, this is going to be the entirety of the process for anything you enchant with this. It's very simple and easy to do, assuming you have the books and you have a little bit of mana to work with. The important thing though that we now need to go over, because we've completed one of these enchants, is you cannot put an enchanted item in the mana enchanter. Unfortunately, you can only enchant unenchanted stuff. That's not too big of an issue though, because thankfully Botania offers a way to very easily wipe the enchants off of an item if you want to upgrade it or put different enchants on it. So the item that is going to allow us to remove enchants from an item is the Spellbinding Cloth. And this is a pretty interesting one with how it works, so I am going to show you guys really quickly. But to make this, it's going to take a Mana Pearl and 4 Mana Weave Cloth. And to make the Mana Weave Cloth, you need 4 Mana Infused String. And to make that, you're going to do a Mana Infusion of String, and that's it. So we're going to infuse 16 String, and it is going to take a decent chunk of mana. So we're just going to infuse all of this. And oh my gosh, that freaks me out every single time without fail. But it's nice because we get a lot of mana. We also need to convert 1 Ender Pearl to a Mana Pearl. And now we should be good to quickly come over here and do the crafting. So we're just going to make 4 of the Mana Weave Cloth. And then we are going to put this in there. And we're going to make the Spellbinding Cloth. And to use this, all we do is toss it into a crafting table with whatever enchanted item we have. And if we are to pull the item out, it's going to use some durability on the Spellbinding Cloth and wipe the enchant. So really easy, you don't even need an anvil or anything for this, and you can get multiple uses out of this. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to spend more mana to re-enchant it already. But let's say hypothetically I eventually get Protection 4 and Unbreaking 3, and I want to apply those. And I don't want to make another Terrasteel chestplate, but I'm still using Terrasteel, well then I should just wipe the enchants off of this and go again for round number 2. So really simple and easy to do. Definitely would advise you to have a Spellbinding Cloth ready to go when you start doing enchanting in case you need to do that. But now I've filled up the mana tablet again, so we should be good to start crafting the rest of, or enchanting the rest of our armor here. And so we can then do the leggings. Just right click them on here. Again, grab out both books we're going to use, toss those down. I guess I don't even really need to pick these up if we're just going to be using them for everything. But there we go. We click on it again. And I think all the mana should be out of this by now. Now, the one thing that's important, and this was the same with making Terra Steel, but when you have a multi-block structure like this that is then going to consume mana in a lengthy process, you definitely don't want to break any part of this, because if you do, then this mana enchanter is going to turn back into a lapis lazuli block, and any mana you've put into the process so far before it's complete is going to be lost. So if you're enchanting something with the highest tier enchants and you got 5 of them going on there and it's taking like an entire mana pool, well, then you definitely don't want to accidentally break one of these flowers by left clicking on it, and all of a sudden you've lost half a mana pool worth of mana. So we'll just dump the rest of this stuff down and get going again. And then we just got to have the helmet done too. Again, I don't really have any special enchants, no Aqua Affinity, no Depth Strider, no Feather Falling. I'm hoping I can come across those. I can do some trading. I could do some enchanting with books. But for now, we're working with some basic stuff. So try not to judge me, guys. Definitely nothing too fancy here. I've been trying my best off camera to do enchanting, to get all this stuff, but it took a little bit longer than expected to even get the basic ones. And I do have some levels to work with right now, and I will show you guys. I'm actually planning on showing a relatively decent method of getting XP in Botania. It's nothing crazy, but I'll do that in a later episode. But there we go. So now the helmet is enchanted too, and if we take a look, we are all extra shiny right now, fully enchanted with at least protection and unbreaking. So this should be sufficient, along with a couple other things for taking on the Gaia. So I think that might be what we actually do next episode. I will say though, because I know some of you were probably expecting an infinite TNT setup today, I was planning on making that, but I had the whole setup working. It's just not super clean. It looks kind of messy, and I want to make it a bit more efficient. So that'll be coming out sometime in the near future. I think next episode we'll try the Gaia fight and how you can kind of cheese that whole fight early on so you can get some of the cool stuff from it. But the infinite TNT setup will be coming down the line, I promise. I just want to make sure that it's pretty much as good as I can get it for you guys, so that when you make it, there's no additional updates you have to make in the future if I figure out something can be done a little bit better. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on a future one, as they come out every Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will talk to you guys later.